Remember all the noise about how Hunter Biden is not receiving special treatment? There is no sweetheart deal. It's a figment of your imagination. We're going to just show you how that's all bull. Let's talk about it. Hello, everyone. This is Keith. Welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel, your home of inner city intelligence. Look, you know it's a lie. I know it's a lie. We all know that Hunter Biden would just naturally get preferential treatment. His son, he's a son of the president, and he's up before the justice system, the United States justice system that's run by the president. How could he not get specialized treatment and get a sweetheart deal? Stop making us expose your lies. But here they are lying big time.
President Biden only commenting briefly when asked about the plea agreement that his son Hunter struck with federal prosecutors. Guilty pleas on a pair of misdemeanor counts of failing to pay his income tax and working to avoid a felony firearm related charge.
I'm very proud of my son.
Shortly before that, the White House put out a statement saying, quote, "The president and first lady love their son and support him as he continues to rebuild his life. We will have no further comment." Former President Trump, meanwhile, reacting to the deal on his own social network, saying a sweetheart deal for Hunter and Joe as they continue their quest to get Trump. And he's not alone in that criticism today among Republicans. CNN's Evan Perez joins us now with more on that. Evan, first, let's talk about this plea deal and what you can tell us as, this investigation had been going on for so many years. How did they come to this agreement today?
Yeah, this is 5 years in the making, Caitlin, and the bottom line is that prosecutors are expected to recommend no prison time, no prison time for Hunter Biden as a result of this plea deal.
So 5 years of investigation, no prison time. That's normal.
In which he is pleading guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts for failing to file taxes on time.
And I want you to note, it was really 4 years, but the first 2 years they allowed, the statute of limitation just so happened to run out on the first 2 years he was accused of not paying his taxes. And those 2 years just so happened to fall under the time when his daddy was vice president. Maybe they let those 2 drop off because they had to spare Joe Biden too, because if they had dug deep into those 2 years that happened while his father was vice president, it might lead up to him. So conveniently it was 2017 and 2018 that they nailed him on, and that's when his father was free and clear. Just a coincidence.
In 2017 and 2018, there's a separate agreement for this gun charge. This is for him purchasing a firearm during a time that he has spoken publicly about his addiction to drugs, and so he should not have been able to buy that firearm. He lied on the federal form when he.
And that's 10 years. When you lie on the federal form, you normally get 10 years. Now they're going to go on to say that, oh, Hunter, they only nail people like that if they give them the full 10 years or something like that, is if they use it during a crime or anything like that. It's usually just not that you're an addict and you have a gun. Except him lying on that federal form isn't the only thing he did with the gun. He videotaped himself like an idiot, being high and in the presence of a prostitute with the gun in his hand, and he disposed the gun in a trash can outside of a high school. So he disposed the gun improperly. He's flashing the gun around. Those are gun-related crimes too. So he didn't just fill out the form erroneously. Well, he lied on the form. There are other charges with the gun that were also ignored. No sweetheart deal though. No.
purchased it under this deal. If he completes the terms that the court will assign to him, he gets it expunged. It goes away at the end of this, and so those are the terms of the deal. We do believe this is the deal that certainly was weeks and months in negotiations in the making. Caitlin.
Yeah, and I imagine, obviously, we saw from Republicans responding almost immediately after this was reported from these court filings from the DOJ, saying essentially that they believe that this was an unfair deal that was cut because he is the president's son. What else were they saying, Evan?
It wouldn't be just the Republicans who think this is a two-tier justice system and complain about the light touch that Hunter got. Every Negro in jail on drug charges, on gun charges, who did the similar thing, not just black people too. Anyone would say the same thing. So it's not just the Republicans who had a complaint about the obvious sweetheart deal that Biden's son had. Anyone who was on the wrong side of justice would have the same bitchy complaint, and justifiably complain too.
Yeah, this is just a preview of what I think you're going to hear from Republicans who believe that there's a lot more here to investigate involving the president's son and also other members of the family. Here's just a sample of what they were saying today.
It continues to show the two-tier system in America. If you are the president's leading political opponent, the DOJ tries to literally put you in jail and give you prison time. If you are the president's son, you get a sweetheart deal.
I wonder if people that have been investigating the Bidens knew about the shell companies, if they knew about the money laundering, and if they knew about the money wires. I think the U.S. Attorney will be invited to testify to some committee.
The Department of Justice offered Mr. Hunter Biden a really good deal. I think the American people are still curious about where the real money came from and what he did for it.
And that's a good point. Where did the money come from? How did a crackhead who frequents strip clubs, how did he how did he earn enough money to owe that much money? He owed millions of dollars. No one's curious as to where the money's coming from. So if someone from the Medellin drug cartel was busted for not paying their taxes, you're telling me a justice system wouldn't want to know where the money came from in the first place? Yeah, that's garbage.
And Caitlin, look, the FBI and the IRS spent years investigating many of the things that you just heard some of the lawmakers mention, including allegations of money laundering, allegations of foreign lobbying, business dealings in Ukraine and China, and this is where they ended up.
Yeah, and that was when there was a Trump-appointed Attorney General in leading the Justice Department. Trump was in office. We'll get to that in a moment. Evan Perez, thank you. Joining us now, conservative lawyer and Washington Post contributing columnist George Conway. You heard what the Republicans were saying immediately. Do you think there's any outcome of this that would have satisfied congressional Republicans?
No, absolutely not. I mean, if they had brought a RICO charge against Hunter Biden, they would be complaining that what took you so long? It's purely performative and it's purely reflexive. It's shown by the fact that when Donald Trump's indictment came down, they didn't bother to read it to criticize it. And here it's just, they were just omitting to. Ignoring the fact that this investigation was conducted by a Trump appointee, a Republican U.S. attorney, who was allowed to stay on and told, you need to follow up on this, you need to finish this, and we're not going to interfere with you.
About that, the non-interference part, let's dig into that.
Two IRS whistleblowers are testifying on Capitol Hill about the Justice Department's investigation into Hunter Biden, the son of the president. Both IRS agents are testifying in public now. They worked on the federal investigation into Hunter Biden's taxes as well as his foreign business dealings. One of them has publicly accused the Department of Justice, of slow walking the investigation. NBC's senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor joins us now. Sahil, we've heard from one of these whistleblowers at length, but I don't think we've heard from the other. What's happening today so far?
That's right, Kate. We're about an hour and a half into this hearing. It shows no signs of ending anytime soon. So let's go through the allegations that these two whistleblowers blowers are making at the House Oversight Committee hearing. The first one, Joseph Ziegler, an IRS special agent whose identity was just revealed for the first time today.
And he's a Democrat, so since they're going to throw out the Trump appointee for the judges, I'm going to throw out the fact that Dude is a registered Democrat.
Alleges that David Weiss, the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney in Delaware in charge of the case, didn't follow DOJ policy. He suggested he mismanaged the investigation, that Ziegler's investigative work was slow-walked or obstructed along the way. He made clear he doesn't support the plea deal that ultimately came to be between the DOJ and Hunter Biden, and questioned why they weren't more aggressive. The second whistleblower, Gary Shapley, an IRS agent who has been public about this before, appeared in front of the press, said that AG Weiss told FBI and IRS investigators on October 7th of 2022 that he was, quote, not the deciding person on whether charges are filed, unquote. AG Garland has said he doesn't know what he's talking about here. He said he doesn't know how it would be possible for anyone to block, the agent from making a prosecution, given that he had the authority and was never told no. Shapley disputes Garland's assertion as false and suggests Weiss's story has evolved. He also claims the investigation was, quote, stymied. Now, Republicans...
No, there you go. Investigation stymied, slow walked, and they're trying to pretend like who could possibly block an investigation into Hunter Biden? The Attorney General, the President? Nah, no way. Look, he got a sweetheart deal. And here's the proof. The judge, and they're going to, of course, remind you that the judge is a Trump appointee, but she had to be approved by two Democrat senators in Delaware. So don't let that Trump appointee thing they throw around sway in any which way. But the judge presiding over the hearing about Hunter's sweetheart deal, here's what she had to say, at least a transcript of it. Let's get into it real quick. So here it is. This guy, Chris Tagini, he captured it right here on Twitter. Judge Noriega asked the U.S. attorney 5 times if there had been any precedent for such a one-sided plea agreement like he gave Hunter. He said no all 5 times and even admitted this was crafted to suit the facts and circumstances. So here's the breakdown specifically. The court, this is the judge, Trump appointed, of course. And you don't have any precedent for that, right? Mr. Weiss. No, Your Honor. The court. Do you have any authority that any court has ever accepted that or said that they would do that? Mr. Weiss. No, Your Honor. This is crafted to suit the facts and circumstances. So there you go. Straight from the judge herself. And that's why this whole thing collapsed, because it is a sweetheart deal. Normally, most of these pleas just rubber stamped by the judge, because what happens is there's supposed to be an adversarial relationship between the prosecuting attorney, in this case the U.S. Attorney General's office, and the defense attorney. There's supposed to be a push-pull between them, because the prosecuting attorney wants full punishment, wants the accused to do all the full time, no parole, no nothing. The defense wants as much leniency as possible. So between the two, if they can decide, okay, we have an agreement, the judge normally can just assume that we've reached somewhere close to justice, because you have these two opposing forces. Again, the prosecuting attorney and the defense attorney, they come together and they can decide, they could probably decide on a decent plea agreement. If you watched or listened to or read if you've read the transcripts, you would think there was no prosecuting attorney in the hearings at all. It all sounded like the defense. The only person who really represented the people, aka the citizens, was Judge Noriega. And thank God she looked into it and saw that something stunk, that Tucker was getting the deal of deals. He was going to be exonerated for just about everything he did and anything he might do in the future. Totally unheard of. The sweetest of sweetheart deals. You'd get diabetes from this sweetheart deal. So it's complete and utter trash. hopefully a court case comes out of it, and we'll get discovery, but we'll see. Who knows? Because again, this is the president's son. I mean, he's going to get special treatment, and just stop lying to us about it, that he's going to be treated like any other citizen with all his attorneys and his and his like fleet of SUVs that bring him around to the courthouse. Utterly ridiculous. But that's my take on this. What's yours? Like, share, comment, and subscribe.